Welcome, everybody. This is the fifth Q&A for the Be Epic London International Film Festival, and it's the fifth annual film festival this year, for the first time, streaming online for obvious reasons. We won't go into that. My name's Jonathan Hearn. I will be hosting this Q&A, and we've got some fantastic filmmakers with us this evening. For anyone watching in the UK, of course, it is an international film festival. It's all sorts of times at the moment. Thank you very much for joining us. So we have three films we're going to be talking about in this session. They will be Drown the Clown, This Day We Saw the Volcano, and music video, Highland Home. So let's get into it. Let's see the trailer for Drown the Clown.
Step right up! What'd you say, my fair lady? How'd you like to show your dad how far you can trail?
You might want to start saying your goodbyes now.
Is that a real clown, Daddy?
Not how you thought your life would turn out, is it?
Don't let that clown talk to you like that.
I want to go home.
Yes, sweetie, soon. I promise.
What are you yelling at me for?
None of you are safe while this man remains dry.
Wonderful. And we have with us here the writer and director, and the writer and director Sinclair Rankin.
Hey there.
Hello.
How are you?
Also, yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
And we're also soon to be joined by the actor and composer Aaron Diskin.
Yes. Hopefully any minute he'll be here.
Okay. Wonderful.
I'm getting texts, but we'll see.
Okay. So yes, let us know a little bit about your film, Drown the Clown.
So this is my first film, and I had gotten this idea from years ago. One of these clowns was in a fair that was in my neighborhood, and I got pulled into the game, and it was pretty interesting, and I got very taken with just the whole idea of it and this person's unusual job and the inherent kind of conflict and drama in it. And it bounced around in my head for a while. And I just, it wasn't until I started doing screenwriting and ultimately decided to make this short myself that it finally found a home as a short. So that was sort of the genesis of it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And that's very interesting that you have actually played the game yourself.
Yes.
Well. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, we'll bring you back in a sec. Let's move on to the second film. So let's have a look at the trailer for This Day We Saw the Volcano. Beautiful. So let's introduce to you. We have three members of this film with us. So first of all, let's bring to the screen director and writer Dagmara Wyskiel. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. And we also, that's all right. We also have with us, her role was main camera, Popławska.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
And one of the stars of the film, the wonderful Janusz Nuñez. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you all for joining us. So, Dagmara, can you tell us a little bit about this film?
It's a poetic story about two young people in the desert, in the nothing. It's an existentialist film without history it's about our future, but maybe about our past too. It's something between a poem and between film. It's about everyone, I think, and it's a really difficult maybe to talk about this film, because it's film without really story in the classic way of the meaning of the word. But the most important point is the desert, the Atacama Desert, the driest desert in the world, and it's that landscape for us. It's one of the protagonists. I will think that it's maybe the most important point that I would like to say.
Thank you very much. Yes, very poetic and existential film, and very beautiful. So, right, we haven't with us the producer of the third film, but I'm going to make an executive decision and show the trailer, and if Zach joins us later, we'll just see what happens. But for the sake of it, let's see the trailer for Highland Home. Very beautiful shots in that music video. Right, I have all of us here now on the screen. So my first question to all of you, well, about both of these films, is about the origins of the film. Now, I know, Sinclair, you've already told us about the origins of your film. So, Dagmara, I'll tell you what, we have three of you representing this film, so maybe you could tell us your own personal experience of the origins of this film for you, starting with Dagmara, just how everything started.
The origin of this film is a bit strange. I'm sure that the most creative ideas we can find speaking with children. So I decide that I only want to do a movie with original dialogues, creating with children, not writing like a traditional film. So it was only idea. A lot of time, maybe it was 2-3 years. I wanted to work with children to do not the classic documentary film, but work with an open dialogue with the children. And then when Julia came to Chile, I understood that this is the moment that she will understand this idea, and I want to ask her how it was for a professional filmmaker as Julia to find this idea to work without the traditional film worker or director. Julia, please.
Thank you. Yeah, so Julia, have you... Oh, but just before we continue, we now have with us... sorry, let me just sort this out. We now have with us Aaron Diskin from Drown the Clown, the actor and composer, I believe. Composer as well, yes. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Hi, nice to be here.
Yeah. I don't know actually if anyone heard me just say that. I'm still working the controls. So yes, the actor and composer from Drown the Clown, and wonderful. So let's go back with talking. Julia, do you have anything to add about the origins of This Day We Saw the Volcano?
For a long time I was fascinated with the desert in general. And before visiting Chile, I visited also deserts in Peru or in Morocco. And when I saw in the newspaper article about what Dagmara Wyskiel is doing in Chile as an artist and as a land artist, I immediately thought to myself that I need to meet her and talk with her. So after a while, we decided, and she invited me to Chile for artistic residency, and she invited me to cooperate with her on her movie. And the whole idea of the movie and the whole plot, which you see, is her idea. She was a director, and I helped her just. Now, when I see those pictures you presented in the trailer, I see it as a dream. Now I do not believe that I was there. We were there 3 years ago. I think it was 2017.
Yes,
And,
exactly
yes.
3 years ago.
Yes, and here is also Janusz, who played in this movie. He's a son of Dagmara, and there is also another boy. I do not have children, but Dagmara had wonderful contact with both actors. So she invented all the scenes, and she presented me and whole crew all those incredible, beautiful places of Atacama desert. We visited really very remote places, and it was fantastic to do this. And I think this film also plays with a landscape and with a space. It was a very important element of this movie. Landscape. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the landscapes are very beautiful in this. Some amazing shots.
I think that it's a protagonist. It's not a landscape. Territory is not only the beautiful aesthetic element. It's another important, for me, really important protagonist. I think that the kind of relation between boys and territory, it's not as is in any other place. It's not like with any object. It's other protagonists. I believe that Atacama Desert, it's a important protagonist of my movie.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a sort of imposing presence of all those open spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think because maybe it's a really symbolic, the driest place, the driest desert in the world.
Oh wow.
In this planet, yes, because it is.
Hmm.
So in all the levels, you can read it. It's really important. Directly and in this symbolic way. So for me, it's a really important element in this movie, in this artwork, and in other. I live here because I find all the time a new inspiration in the Atacama Desert.
Fantastic. And of course, we have Janusz Nuñez here. How was it? What were the beginnings of this film for you? How did you get? I suppose this is your mother that got you involved.
How did I get to the movie?
Yeah. So what was it? How did you know when you were going to be part of this film, and how did it feel?
I didn't know that the movie was a very big thing, and that it could go that far now. And just one day my mother told me that asked me if I wanted to participate again in another art project, and I wanted.
Fantastic, yeah, and you're brilliant in it. That must have been quite an experience being out in those wide open spaces.
Yes, and I also want to underline that working on this project, working in the desert, was a quite heavy experience, and it was really hot sometimes, but sometimes it was cold. Sometimes we visited very high places because Atacama has mountains also, and so really boys were really strong.
Absolutely, that
Yes,
very impressive.
Really. So yes, we were really very strict in filming.
Yeah, it's good to hear. So going back to Drown the Clown, we've heard of the origins from Sinclair. So let's ask Aaron. Can you tell us how everything started for you with this film?
Sure. Actually, it was funny because Sinclair asked me to do the music for the film, and I said I'd love to. And then he read me the script, and I just thought it was the best. And then he was like, "Hey, you wouldn't want to try out for one of the roles, would you?" And we made a deal that he couldn't be mad at me if I was terrible at it, and I couldn't be mad at him if he picked somebody else. So, but it worked out.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film and a great performance. Yeah. So okay. So next question for everyone is about any sort of issues in the filmmaking process, any problems which perhaps any of you learned from during the production. So let's start with Sinclair and Aaron. Can you think of anything?
Well, because it was my first film, everything was a challenge, and we created that whole world, and we had wanted to shoot at an actual festival, and that just proved to be too difficult to do. So we built out the whole set, the whole world. But of course, specifically, the most challenging part was by far the tank. It was 400 gallons of water that we had to continually top off because it was leaking during the first night of shooting, which wasn't great. Luckily, I had a very good friend who jumped in the tank and did some repairs on it, enough to allow us to keep shooting.
It was freezing cold.
It was the end of September, so it was not. It was a sign of a very good friend. And then of course, doing the dunk itself, which comes at the end of the film, Aaron and I had talked about it in the run-up to it. I mean, we were going to rehearse it, but I didn't finish building the tank in time. And we had a pretty harebrained idea, which was kind of like to have a seesaw that would just drop him in the tank. When we were on set, luckily, the woman who plays the assistant, Hannah Scott, happens to be a stunt coordinator, stunt woman. And we told her what we were planning on doing, and she said, absolutely do not do it that way. So we had to make an adjustment on the fly, and I think what we came up with was great. Aaron just sort of pitched in sideways, which really was much more cinematic. And, we talked again about how we wanted you to fall and turn underwater, and
we had just one chance.
We had two costumes for you.
Oh,
so we could have
done it twice.
Yeah, we couldn't have done it 3 times.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of the fact that you'd obviously need to dry the costume, or did it actually damage the costume?
Yeah, but these were not expensive. They look expensive. But polyester, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things you have to do is just buy 2 of something if I suppose you could have put something wet back on, but luckily we didn't come to that. We did it in one take, and it came out beautifully.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I suppose that with the tank leaking, the whole thing is that the tank's in shot most of the time, isn't it?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
And worse than that, it was leaking underneath everyone's feet, and so every footstep was a squish. My sound person was not happy.
Everyone had to stay still, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Don't walk. That was the.
Don't breathe.
Yeah, don't breathe.
That's interesting. Actually, that didn't occur to me how many takes it would have taken to get that dunk, because it came out looking great. It's a great film. So, Dagmara, Julia, Janusz, do you have the same question? Any issues which you may have learned from in the process of making it?
I think first that it's without the budget film. So you have to have a really great team that wants to do it. We had only 4 days to do the movie, 2 Saturdays and 2 Sundays because of the school of Janusz and Miguel. And wind or climate, working all the day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. In the desert. It's a really strong experience. And the last one, maybe Janusz or Julia, do you remember the moment that we find the cadaver?
That we find
how do you call it? Because it's not the body. I don't know how.
Skeleton.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It was really strange because the adult team was more shocked than the children. I don't know if I'm right. It was a really strong moment in the work.
Yes.
Maybe this one, yeah.
Yes, I remember we found on the desert a skeleton, and of course, then later we informed the police that we found it. But then we found out that maybe it was a skeleton from 80s, perhaps. I don't know.
From the Pacific Ocean, where I think.
Yes, so it had a story. It wasn't very recent thing, but we were really shocked by this. And when I spoke with geologists, with a professor of geology, with whom I traveled through the desert, he told me that he found a few times in his long life dead bodies or just skeletons of human skeletons in the desert. And also you can find on the desert some daily things which you use during the day when you work in the salt mine or in the silver mine, because there is a lot of ruins after mines of factories which were dealing with the silver, which was used to be received in the desert many years ago.
Wow.
So the desert is not a desert. It's not. It's very full of history, and it's also full of life. When you go up higher in the mountains, you can see a lot of plants which are growing there, and they feed with humidity from the clouds, from the fog. So it's not like there's this empty space. It's full of life sometimes, but I'm full of secrets like this, like a skeleton.
That's that's amazing. I was actually wondering that whether that was found while you were filming or whether it was a prop, because it does look very authentic.
Yeah.
Not that props aren't authentic, of course. Wow. And and you're saying that the adults were more disturbed than the children. Janusz, is that the case? Did you how did you react to this cadaver?
Me and Miguel were surprised, but we didn't seem scared. Like, I don't remember as much, but we were surprised. And after my mom told me that we could sit there and talk, and we did it. And like, I don't remember much.
Okay. I mean, it was 3 years ago. Yeah. So, okay, another question. What about what do you what was rewarding during the process of making this film? I don't know whether we've already covered this, but let's go back to Sinclair and Aaron. Any particularly rewarding moments during the making of this film?
I mean, to be honest, the entire venture was very rewarding. It's corny, but true. The whole process of writing a script, I had a producer, of course, and he and I were the only ones that were involved for months and months and months. And so the process of taking that to get it ready to shoot, and then in the last weeks before a shoot, all of these people become attached. It becomes a very collaborative thing. That's very exciting and very meaningful. And then, of course, that gets focused down into just in our case, 2 nights where we shot. And I was very fortunate that I was surrounded by very professional filmmakers and technicians who knew what they were doing, and so there were, aside from the tank, there weren't any really big problems, and that was my memory of it. Right? It seemed pretty smooth. You would think maybe that's a director who'd been around for a while. Of course, I have. Just haven't been directing.
That's great. Thank you. And what about you, Aaron? But like as
what was the question again?
In your role as the actor, I suppose, because you have two roles in this. Although maybe we could talk more about the composition, because that's an amazing soundtrack this film has.
Thanks. It came together. It happened. There was I found that it was very difficult to communicate effectively about music between the director says,
yes, one person is a musician, the other one's not. Yeah.
So he says, I want something that sounds like this, and I make that, and he says, oh, that's not what I was. This is not what I meant. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's go. So we sort of, built a vocabulary of like instruments and sounds that had the vibe that they were going for, and then I had like kind of a palette to make stuff and bounce it off of Sinclair. But we had that is great. It was amazing to be able to do that, to like write the music, and he says it's not quite what I was thinking, and change it a little, and then and this was half of it before the editing, during the editing, and after the editing. Right. So there was,
some pressure, time pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always hear one or two things where I'm like, God, I wish we could have had an extra day to work on that. But
Yeah. No, it's an interesting phenomenon. What he's talking about of trying to find this shared language, I'd say, well, this moment, for instance, at the end where the father and daughter embrace, I said this is a conflicted victory. So he translated that as happy, sad. And of course, in music, there are chords that are have been said.
Minor, major.
Yeah. And then he would knock out a few of those and send them up. I mean, I did make you probably make a lot more music than you wanted to, but it was great. We were both, I mean, you'd done it before, but we were both kind of like feeling our way through it.
I've done it before, but this was the most collaborative experience.
But I'm super happy with how it came out. I think it sounds great. And just as an FYI, there's a song at the end, which is also a band that Aaron is part of, and called Predator Prey. That was a whole other great and interesting process trying to put that thing together.
My bandmates, one of whom is my wife, they're like, "Why don't we get to be involved in this? we should have the rock song at the end." So,
and that was it. And then I put them through the ringer. No, not like that. Not like that. Finally, you were like, just send me songs that you. That was what did it. It was the Mekon song, I think, that did it. Right?
Oh,
in a way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that was our journey.
Yeah, So that is a lovely song at the end. That's interesting. What was the name of the band again? Sorry,
Predator Prey. You can find us on Bandcamp.
Okay, I will do that. And that is interesting as well, because kind of the process of asking for something, but not knowing how to. Is that what you're saying? Not knowing how to ask for what you're asking for.
Finding a shared language.
Yeah.
Between, I guess also happens with actor. You know, I'm asking an actor to perform in a certain way. It's a little more. The language is a little more shared in that case, but it's a similar experience. You're trying to meet so that the person you're collaborating with can give you, because it's all in my head, right? That's the whole process. I have to pull it out. I have to pull it out and explain it to everybody.
This is what it sounds like. It's kind of like there's something there in the head, and of course, when you hear something that Aaron has made, you know whether it matches what's in your head or not.
Exactly.
But then it's then it's frustrating.
Beautiful thing it's a beautiful thing when it matches. It really is.
Yeah. Lovely. And I suppose, like you say, with the acting, I suppose that in a lot of cases it must be a case of the actor just literally doing 10 different versions of something.
Right. Well, you tell them quieter, more sad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a parallel, but it's a cross-discipline with music. It's really a cross-discipline with music, not a music.
Yeah. Communication, it's all sort of, it's what it's all about, isn't it? When you've got a team of people doing anything, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about what was rewarding. So Dagmara, can you tell us any rewarding moments in the process of your film?
Oh, maybe next time about script, but from the other point. The decision that we will not work with any script, only with locations, transform it all the way and the dynamic of our work. Because I think that a script, it's not only the dialogue, it's something that works as a plan, organize your work of the team, and if you don't have a script, you have to organize all the teamwork, even in the practice way. What we will do in the evening, for example, it depends only on the location of the dialogues of the children. So it was so difficult for me for the first time as a director with a small but not a small team to work and to redesign, reinvent other way to work without a script in the location places in the Atacama Desert, so in the difficult situation in difficult places and without a script, so you don't know if this dialogue in this moment will be for 5 minutes or will be 40 minutes or 1 hour because you don't have script. It means that the flexibility of your team it has to be such bigger than normally, I think. I think that it was the point I wanted to talk.
Right. So, yeah, flexibility, because you haven't got everything like rigidly planned in advance. And well, actually, here's something I was going to ask. You have a couple of shots on the road. What issues did you have? Any? Do those roads get a lot of traffic? A lot of no, right. So that was fine.
Yes, it was fine to be there on the road, just in the middle of it, and cars are very rarely, really. If you are asking about the wonderful aspects of this work, for me it was everything actually, because experiencing those beautiful, extremely beautiful landscapes was something amazing. And when you are on the desert, you also can feel the salt on your cheeks, on your face, on your mouth. The air is so dry that you cough your throat within a few minutes. You have to cough and you have to drink a lot because it is the driest place in the world, and this is the oldest desert in the world. So with this knowledge, you are so small in front of the beautiful big space. And when you talk to Dagmara, who is an artist who works with the landscape, she also treats landscape as a source of expression. So in that case, it was fully used in that way. And also what I liked about this project was Dagmara, she designed clothes for her protagonists. You can also see that through that, you can't really say in what time you see what is happening. You can't say it's today, it's nowadays, or it was 100 years ago. So it is also a very important element of this movie, that you really don't know when it happened. It's open.
It's atemporality. It's really important. Thanks, Julia. It's really important for me. I don't want to tell you when is it. I don't need it. So it's important that neutrality of clothes. It can be 100 years ago or yesterday. It doesn't matter, because I want to disconnect this story of any special time or point in the history. I think that because I think that desert maybe we can understand as a temple without God, without special God, without walls. So you can find this kind of experience, Julia said, with salt in the skin. It's all the level of experience you can find there becomes really special. And it's I'm sure that it's one of the most interesting places to have a contact with natural landscape, but to have contact with something what we are looking about, like hope, for example, sense, this kind of way to understand the desert and to work with this movie. I think that's important for me.
Yeah, and I was going to say this, the costumes are very, very good and very interesting, and I know what you mean about not being atemporal. Yes, and the dryness has come up again. Janusz, was that difficult for you? Performing the dialogue with the dryness in the air?
No, actually it was very normal. We bring a lot of water because we were very far in desert. But the dialogues weren't so difficult to say.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. So yeah, we only really have about just under 20 minutes left. We've got a little sort of fun way to end it, but before we get to that, I'll just ask all of you really what any projects that you can tell us about that you're working on at the moment, and I suppose a big aspect of that might be this pandemic we're going through, and whether how that's affecting any projects. I don't mean to be negative, but yeah. So I mean,
pandemic.
Yeah, I took this long to mention it. But I mean, I suppose what I'm asking is there anything you can tell us about that you've been working on or about to work on? So let's start with let's go to Sinclair and Aaron.
You want to start on whatever you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just finishing a record that I've been working on for 2 years, and but the whole global pandemic thing has is really slowing me down.
It's hard on everybody.
Yeah. So again, sorry for bringing that up, everyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, it's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening. It's not my fault. So, Sinclair, how about you? Have you? Anything you can tell us about?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. One is I'm writing and hope to shoot a proof of concept for a feature that I've written about a therapist who has kind of a crisis of faith in his profession. But of course, the challenge in going into production now is pretty great. So I've been stripping it down, making it a lot of exteriors, trying to boil it down to 2 characters if possible, because I would love to shoot it before 2022. And it's interesting, in the same vein, I've started writing a audio drama, figuring that would be something that we could do and not have to wait for all this to be over. So it's those 2 things I've been working on in the last month or so.
Okay, great. That sounds good. And yeah, audio is a good way to go, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And I suppose you can have people working remotely.
Right.
Thousands. So, Dagmara, how about you? Anything you can tell us about?
We are in post-production. So it was incredible because these 4 days with Julia and all the team 3 years ago in the middle of Atacama Desert gave us material for 2 movies. So we are working now with the last part of post-production of the short experimental movie. We could start all over from the beginning. It's a symbolic in the pandemic time. This title It will be the title of this work. So we would like to finish it during the September. We are in the post production of sound now and some final part, and so this is the most important part in the work and now. And for the next year, I have other experimental show. I will have a big installation in the Museum of Memory and Human Rights in Santiago, Chile, about the history of Chile and the violence in Chile. So I want to use this installation. I hope it will be all over of pandemic, and I can work in Santiago with this artwork and convert the physical installation site specific in some kind of movies. So in the creative part, I start this work, and I'm looking how to translate a big site specific installation to the experimental movie. So this do that.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that sounds exciting. That exhibition. So, Julia, how about you? Can you tell us about anything?
First, I'm very glad that Dagmara will continue with the material. It's great. And now I just finished my short documentary as a producer also and as a director. I filmed some interesting stories in Warsaw's botanical garden. And now I'm fascinated with plants with a green color. This is a kind of a movie like art and science where I show and combine relation between artistic inspiration and science in the space of the botanical garden. So I have this movie already done, and now I'm sending it for film festivals. And now here I'm in the eastern part of Poland at the countryside. And when I was just shooting photographs for my photograph exhibition, I got stipendium. And now I'm just working on photo exhibition, which is devoted to the beautiful, great part of eastern part of Poland.
Oh, fantastic!
Nature.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank briefly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So, Janusz, have you got anything, any other acting coming up for you, or anything else?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Would you like to do more film acting?
Yes, like in that style without like written dialogue. It was very interesting and fun in creating my own dialogues to talk to somebody else in a movie.
Yeah. Improvisational, kind of. Yeah. So not more inclined, more favouring that than a script, a sort of solid, predetermined script.
Yes.
Oh, you don't mind? Maybe you like. Yeah, it's all to play for. It's all available. Thank you. So we're coming to the end. What we like to do with these Q&As, we end with a game of truth or dare. We are all aware of this game. It's a classic. It's all fine. Don't worry. So all I can do all I'm going to do is ask each of you to choose between truth or dare. So truth will be a slightly more awkward question about the film, and dare is a dare. You'll have to see. So let's start with Dagmara. Truth or dare?
Always true.
Okay. Right. Would you change? What would you change about the film if you were to do it again?
Sound. A register of sound. Awful.
There we go. There we go. That was painless. Straight away. Immediate answer. Thank you very much for that. Yulia, how about you? Truth or dare?
Truth.
Okay. And you know what? You'll have a different answer, so it'll be the same question. What would you change about this film? Well, let's hope you. Okay, fine. Same answer. Maybe I should come up with a different.
Really true.
Okay, fair enough. That seems pretty. What about? Okay, here we go. Well, right. This is a bit more general. What was the? Can you tell us what was possibly the most embarrassing moment of your career in filmmaking?
And you ask.
Oh, that's you, Yulia.
It's most embarrassing moment. Okay. I also worked as a TV journalist for many years, so I worked with a camera. And I remember those times when you had to go and film and bring with you your own tape, like beta tape, yes, to have it recorded. And I went with a cameraman to shoot, and I forgot this beta tape. So I think it was the worst day in my life. Yeah, I just forgot it. It's true. It's a truth.
And did it? How? What were the consequences? Did things resolve?
Were that we had to go back and bring it, and it took some 2 hours, and it was just 2 hours of our filming, so filming time.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
And you're aware.
Just saying the truth, it was just only once in my life.
Only one time. Okay.
Yeah, only one time. No more.
Never again. Yeah.
It was such a shame.
Yeah, it's one of those. I know that feeling. It's that thing where you know it's like completely you that has caused this. Yeah, you just have to kind of carry that with you. So let's move on to Janusz. Are you ready for this truth or dare?
Truth.
Okay. Yeah, what did you find was the hardest part for you playing this character in this film?
The hardest part. I think the parts maybe were we were trying to climb up very tall rocks or very tall mountains where we almost fell every time. And it was very difficult and a little dangerous, but we did it.
Yeah, so it sounds like we've got a slight common theme with both of these films, that there was potential danger, but yes. In the case of Drown the Clown, you resolved this potential danger. Thank you for that. Right, okay, so Sinclair, truth.
All right, I'm gonna have to say dare just so I can find out what you're gonna make me do.
Okay, yeah, because no one has chosen dare. In which case, let's let's give this dare to both of you, both you and Aaron, to reproduce part of the film, the two of you. Some
not the making of, but the actual film.
Yeah, the actual act out. See if you can recreate some part of the film.
It's gonna be tough. All right,
The chair is blue. Can't even see it. You gotta tilt it down a little.
All right, hold on. Get some balls. Okay.
Okay, this is very exciting. Let's
All
see.
right.
Let's see once you're set up. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll put you.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
Not really thought how your life was gonna turn out, is it?
Come on, man! You guys just robbed me.
The world.
And scene.
Fantastic. Well,
we woke up the cat.
Oh no. Thank you.
That was so much more fun than the truth.
I was all ready to open up.
He wants to tell the truth.
No, it's good.
Are you sure? I mean, I think that's an incredible finale to this whole.
Yeah, we don't want to try and top that.
Yeah, let's end strong. So yes, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I've very much enjoyed this. These are both great films. Unfortunately, we didn't have Zach join us. I just realised that I was keeping an eye on that, but maybe we can hear from him another time. The next one of these sessions will be tomorrow, I believe, at 11 a.m. I keep doing that, UK time, but not necessarily everyone else's time. So thank you very much, everyone. I will remove you from the screen one by one. Thank you, Dagmara. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
you. Bye. And thank you, Julia. Thanks for joining us. Farewell. And Janusz, thank you so much. Thank you. Gracias.
We're the last ones. No.
Well, Sinclair, thanks for joining us. Farewell. Right, there we go, everyone. Like I say, next one of these Q&As will be tomorrow, 11 a.m. British summertime. And you can check out all the films. Get yourself a festival pass to watch both the films we've been talking about today and all the others. Both of these in the second session, which ends today. Thank you very much, and see you next time.